Welcome back to another movie review. Yeah, it's been over a month since I did it. The last one was For Your Eyes Only. And by the way, I did not quit on those James Bond reviews. I just haven't had time to make them, and I haven't been watching them as frequently as of late. But I will get back to those eventually. But let's just move on from that. Many of you probably don't know, but The Batman is easily my most anticipated film of the year. And I thought, what better way to celebrate it than go through all the live action Batman movies? So let's just talk about Batman 1989. So, Batman 1989. This is probably going to be a little unpopular opinion, but I actually think this is one of my favorite Batman movies. And despite all the criticism this movie gets, I just really enjoyed this movie, and I have ever since I watched it. I think this is the Batman movie I've watched the most out of all of them. Now, rewatching this, I found quite a few criticisms to this movie, which we will get to, but the positives outweigh the negatives way more. Alright, so let's just get into what's really good about this film. Of course, we can't talk about a Batman movie without mentioning the action. The action is pretty good in here. I don't have a lot to say, so I'll just keep it brief. I really like it. It's got its own unique style to it, and Tim Burton is really good at making unique styles in most of it, in a lot of his movies. But I also appreciate the action here because it all feels natural. It doesn't feel like a lot of movies today that just shoehorn in action because we're like, oh, we're losing the audience. We gotta put an action scene in there and thrill them. This movie actually kind of takes its time and rewards you with a bunch of cool action sequences. From there, let's move on to the style. The style is really, really good in this movie. It's a very unique style, and it's unlike anything I've seen. And it's one of those styles like you can't really replicate. Like, kind of take for example Superman. There's a lot of movies that share the same style as Superman from like the 70s and 80s, but Superman in particular had this own style that was very unique to it, and it couldn't be replicated by all the other movies. This is the same like Batman. Now, granted, not nearly as many movies have tried to replicate Batman's style in their own movies, but honestly, I don't think you could without Tim Burton. He just brought like a really unique style to his Batman movies, and it's unlike anything I've seen, and I doubt I'll ever see again. Alright, now let's talk about the actors, particularly Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, because I don't really have anything to say about the other ones. Let's get Michael Keaton out of the way. Yeah, I mean, most people don't really like Michael Keaton in this movie, and while I can see why, he's not the best Batman by any means, but I think he does exceptionally well as Batman, because for the time this movie came out, I do think he does a lot better as Bruce Wayne than he does in Batman. I think he shines the most in is where he's on edge as Bruce Wayne. Like, you got the famous scene where he's like, "You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts." And like that sort of stuff is where he really shines in this, is where he really shines in the role, because you can see him slowly deteriorate into where he's like kind of losing it, and that's where Michael Keaton handles it best. But now we get to the best actor of this movie, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson killed it in this movie. Just felt like the Joker. Everything down to his iconic laugh and his makeup and costume design. Jack Nicholson just pulls it off so well. But the thing that shocked me the most is how funny he actually is in the role of the Joker. He does a lot of messed up things, like he shocks a guy to death, literally. But and even though that is pretty messed up, I'm still laughing at it because Jack Nicholson is just delivering so many funny lines so well. But my favorite part is this.
My balloons. Those are my balloons.
He stole my balloons! Why didn't somebody tell me that he had one of those things?
Bob? Done. Going to need a minute or two alone, boys.
I don't know what it is about that scene, but like, I just love how he's like shoots the guy and he doesn't even move him, and he doesn't even like care. His face is just so flat, and it's really, really funny. I just think he did a really great job as a Joker, and he set the standard really high. Speaking of Jack Nicholson being funny, this leads into the tone. This movie kind of has two tones. It has a really serious and dark tone, but it also has kind of like a fun and light-hearted tone. And when those two mix, it's like the best parts of the movie. There are just so many moments that are like messed up, and normally in a movie like this, I would be thinking to myself, that's messed up. But because there's some sort of fun in here, it just makes me like smile because it's just so messed up, but in the perfect way. But here's where I think the movie kind of fails a little bit. Like, everything except that is definitely where the movie starts to lose its focus. For example, Michael Keaton and Vicki Vale's relationship. Now, I have a soft spot for this one. I always thought their relationship was kind of cute and whatnot. And seeing it now, it's definitely not one of the best or strongest Batman relationships. You can tell that this is where the movie kind of started to lose its fitting. And yes, let's address the elephant in the room. Batman killing people. Now, people hate the idea of Batman killing people. Like, they absolutely despise it. And I have never seen the problem yet. Now, reading like Robert Pattinson and how he's going to portray the Batman, I can see why people get up in arms in it, even if I'm not one of them myself. But I have to address Michael Keaton like murders people left and right. Like, he'll drop a bomb and just murder like 20 people all in a row. And while I don't hate it, it's kind of distracting, and it just doesn't seem like the movie required him to be this murderous. But in the end, I think this is an extremely fun and awesome Batman movie with some killer performances and a really good style. It's super underrated, and I think if you haven't seen it before, you should check this one out. Well, guys, thanks for joining me on my first review leading up to the Batman. I'll be back in a day or two to review Batman Returns, which will also be pretty fun. But just thanks for sticking around. If you like this, consider subscribing so you don't miss another video. And if you like content like this, you can check out my other channel in the description. I also have a letterbox where I post regularly, so go check that out if you want. Anyways, that's about it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! It's electric.